Hey! That sounded weird. I'm going to do that again. It like echoed in my house. Did it echo on the speaker?
No.
It like echoed in my house. It was like, I felt like Aquaman talking to the fish. If you remember Aquaman talking to the fish in the cartoons when we were kids. Anyway, folks, welcome to another Lifter LMS Ask Us Anything call. I'm going to do some housekeeping real quick and let's just get things rolling. I see we got a couple of people with us live so far. So questions and comments and stuff like that go into the chat. So we do this on a weekly basis. We are here to answer your questions or try to help you problem solve or, answer curiosities about learning management systems or working in WordPress and those kinds of things. So questions go into the chat, comments into the chat. Gary is an expert at it. He comes here all the time. Gary Alderson, welcome to the call. Hello from Winnipeg. Anyone that's signing in, follow Gary's example. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and a little good morning goes a long way. Next, I was going to try and say what I wanted to say, but I don't think I can. It was Chris's birthday yesterday. So yesterday was pretty cool because we had a big sale yesterday on something, but I don't want to talk about it now because it's over. So 55% off. If you watch this and you want to go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift you get a 55% off coupon by going there. I will probably put that up at the end of this broadcast as well. And then I did want to bring up the experts. So I also answer some support tickets via email. Some people that watch these or see the replays, if you send in a request to Lifter LMS and then it says, have a great day, Kurt, we're the same people, right? So Kurt here is the same as Kurt in the support ticket that answers that. And I've been getting a lot of questions lately where I've been referring people to the experts quite a bit. And so lifterlms.com/experts is where you can go to get a listing of people that can offer services. My listing is under Mañana No Mas. And Emily, are you under Emily Middleton or are you under WP Course Guide?
I think both. I think it says Emily Middleton WP Course Guide.
Yeah, because I looked on there more recently and I was like, oh, people probably don't even recognize this as me. It's under Mañana No Mas. So that's in there. It's a great source to find someone that can help you with something, whether you want to do, one-on-one Zoom kind of like training to learn something or to figure something out, or if you want to hire somebody to build you something using Lifter LMS as the foundation, it's a really great place to find people to do things. Bill Kellaway, welcome to the call. Bill Kellaway. Hi there yourself, sir. Hi there yourself. There is the ability to pre-submit some questions. And I looked at that amazing spreadsheet of questions just before the call. And guess what?
What's that?
There was no questions. There was no questions, Emily.
There was no question. Well, Bill has a question.
Bill has a question. Bill, go ahead and put your question into the chat and we can jump onto that. Hey, Emily, what have you been up to this week?
What have I been doing? I've been working on custom coding stuff. I have been, I don't know. I've been getting better at that, getting more smooth with like building plugins, and that's been pretty fun. I've been just organizing my apartment. Unfortunately, like yesterday, a bunch of my friends got assaulted on the street. That sucked. But that's really my week. That's all that happened.
Is that crazy Portland vibe that's going on, or was there something really going on?
No, it's just some dudes outside of a bar who started yelling like they were harassing a trans woman. And then I have a bunch of trans friends. They kind of went in like, hey, stop doing that. And then these dudes just decided to like push him on the ground and start kicking him and shit. And a couple of them broke some fingers and got bruised up and concussions. But yeah, that was that situation.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that went on. If you want to talk afterwards, we can certainly have a conversation. I don't mind that. Me,
That was my major event.
that was your major event.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty major event. My major event doesn't sound very exciting now that you had your event. But
Yeah.
my major event is that it is the 8th year that I have signed up for the Great Cycle Challenge, and I am a cancer survivor. I had cancer when I was in high school. But my fight with cancer was like super quick. It was like, hey, I don't feel so good. And they said, oh, don't worry, you don't have cancer. That's just a tumor. We'll take it out. And I said, are you sure it's not cancer? And they said, we're sure it's not cancer. I said, I'm pretty sure it might be cancer. We should probably test it first. And they said, no, it's impossible. A kid your age could never have that kind of cancer. And then they opened me up and voila, it was cancer. They took it out. And then they were in a hurry to stitch me up. And so 2 weeks later, they said, hey, we want to go back in. We may have missed something. And I said, no. And that was the end of my cancer battle. So I think I feel somewhat guilty that not only am I a cancer survivor, but that my battle with cancer was ridiculously simple. It wasn't simple in the fact that the medical field had no idea what they were doing, but it was simple from the like, hey, like I didn't have to worry, like I didn't have to live with the mental anguish of having cancer, right? It was like, you don't have it. And then I was like, oh, you had it, but we took it out. And it was like, oh. And then I was like, you guys are such morons. I can't ever trust you to cut me open again. So now I'm just like, I'm one of those, in the medical space. I'm not a conspiracy theorist overall, but I do not trust the medical things. I don't like, no, you're not getting near me. Unless I can see the bone, you ain't seeing me. And that's kind of the way that I've lived life for the next 40 years successfully. So I do this ride every year, and it's however many miles you can ride in the month of September, and you raise money for kids with cancer. And it's my 8th year. I pledged to ride 400 miles for the month, and I'm at 60 for the week so far. I got up Monday, September 1st, early, put on my padded shorts. Thank God for padded shorts. And I picked a town 24 miles away, and I said, I'm just going to bicycle to this town and back. So if I get to that town, I got to get home, right? So I'll get my 48 miles in. And then my goal was to go there and have a cinnamon roll and coffee. Emily, do you know what it's like to like have it in your mind that you're going to do something that's amazing? Like I'm going to go to this like Amish cafe, and I'm going to have a homemade giant cinnamon bun with recently ground coffee. Like it's going to be amazing, right? By Amish people, Amish and Mennonite people, they're just like awesomely, like they're going to bake you something, you're going to eat it. So all I could think of was I'm going to ride 24 miles. I'm going to get this cinnamon roll and coffee. That's going to energize me. I'm going to just ride home after that. Well, it was Labor Day. And when I got to this little tiny small farm town in rural Kansas called Arlington, everything was closed. The convenience store was closed. The gas station was closed. The cafe was closed. Everything was closed. So now I'm 24 miles away from home. Thank goodness I had 2 water bottles on the bike. And I had a, do you know what goo is? G-U,
No.
goo. Athletes carry these little pouches with like energy goo in them, like a gel. I had one of those left from my last gravel race in my bike. Thank goodness. I ate that and, started pedaling home. The last 5 or 10 miles was like really, really rough. But I got 49 miles in on Monday, and then I did 10 miles yesterday. I'm going to do 10 tomorrow, and then I'm going to shoot for 20 or 30 on Saturday. And so for the first week, I'll be over on my quota. So my goal this time is to get as many miles done in the first half of the month so that I'm not scrambling in the second half of the month to make stuff up. When I did this 3 years ago, it was literally the last day of the month at midnight, and I was doing a Facebook Live video at some, HOA gateway in some community in Southern California. Like I literally was bicycling at midnight just to get the miles in for what I committed. So this year I want to make sure that, I nail it. So apparently a lot of people have stepped up to the plate and joined us in chat with my stories. So, and your stories, no doubt, right? Like, my goodness. So Bill said he had a few questions. He put a link in for me to put up. I love concealed carry training in San Diego. So we could probably take a look at some of those questions. That's what that link is about. McLaren Defense Online says here, I'm trying to test strip. If you can click on the link, you'll see. Well, you can't click in a comment. I had to hand type that in, Bill. So I typed it in and it worked, right? So I can get to that page ID and that plan. But normally it looks like you're not using the page name as the permalink, right? It looks like you're using something else as the permalink. So I don't know. We could probably have that conversation. I don't know what we're doing here. I can't test Stripe in test mode. Okay. Click on the link and you'll see. Okay. I'm not gonna do a test purchase. Hold on, just put your credit card in here. It'll be fine. No, don't worry about it. It's in test mode. Probably not going to do that. Let's see. Delphine's here. Delphine says, good morning from Merritt, British Columbia. In users, I would like to search for a person by their name. Why can't I do that? Oh, I've seen that come up before. It says I can only search by email if I have it or by voucher code if I have it. We'll take a look at that, Delphine. I know that Emily could probably jump into a screen share and maybe give us a quick explanation on how that works too. Bye, Felicia. Felicia says, hi, hello, I am Felicia from Orlando. Orlando, Florida, I'm assuming, right? Orlando, Florida. And Felicia Myers, because there's a Fort Myers in Florida too. Okay, so the reason I know all the cities in Florida, just throwing it out there, I used to be the training manager for Ducati, the motorcycle company, and there was Ducati dealerships in all those different cities. Jib Jab. Jab Jab says, okay, raise your hand if you know what Jib Jab is. Okay. Jib Jab to me is like the original artificial intelligence. Jib Jab used to be a thing where you would load up your picture of your face and someone else's face or multiple faces, and it would impress those faces on like animations and do crazy things. And then they had commercials on TV because that's how they used to advertise software and shit like that in the past. And it would go, Jib Jab. And that was how they said things. So greetings. I've been eagerly anticipating your Ask Me Anything session and truly appreciate the opportunity to engage. That's awesome. Jab Jab, if you've got questions or anything specifically you need to take a look at, we can do that. Just jump in and do that. Put it up for us. Felicia says she's a nurse and you can't stereotype everyone. No, Felicia, you can't. You can't. I agree. Like, for instance, I have lots of friends that are teachers. I have a ton of friends that are teachers. I'm in the training space myself, but I still pulled my kids out of public high school in California, like, because the school system to me was junk, right? No, you can't judge everybody, but overall you could judge the results, right? And so, and my results from my experience as a kid was horrible. Delphine says, try being diagnosed with cancer, and then the surgeon gets angry with the patient because the surgery was unnecessary, but didn't find it out until... Delphine, there you go. Right. You're right in my ballpark, girl. Right in my ballpark. I'd love to hear more about implementing CAPTCHA. Gary, how did I know that was going to come up this week? In the latest LifterLMS release, Lifter 9.0, and of course, we do the 9.01, 9.02, whatever. But in 9.0, we said, hey, we're the most secure WordPress-based learning management system ever. And then we talked about CAPTCHA and securing content and things like that. And so, yeah, we can take a look at CAPTCHA. Now, this is a connection to your existing CAPTCHA account. This isn't like Lifter's generating its own CAPTCHA, right? So to be clear, when you go into those settings, you are going to have a CAPTCHA account with one of those sources. One is Turnstile, which I believe is through Cloudflare. And Turnstile, I think, also is like through Cloudways, right? Cloudways and
Cloudflare.
Cloudflare. And then, so Cloudways uses Cloudflare. Isn't that how that works?
Cloudways probably uses Cloudflare. It's like a DNS and security service.
Yeah.
I think Cloudflare, is the one that infamously has the wall of, what are those lava lamps that they use to do their randomized encryption? They point a security camera at a wall of lava lamps, and that's how they get the randomized encryption keys. So
I think that's a cool idea.
Security.
straight out of the 60s. All right.
Right?
Felicia says, I can't imagine that. I know, Felicia. See, now I've upset Felicia. Felicia, please accept my apology and know that I don't put all medical professionals in the bin. I just put the overall results in the bin. I once became really good personal friends with a doctor at Presbyterian hospitals because I was a road race instructor and he had a Ducati, a motorcycle. He wanted to learn how to ride on the racetrack. And so I would take him to the racetrack and we would ride at the track all the time. And that was actually a bad experience for me because he would tell me behind the scenes stories about working at the hospital. And I was like, oh my goodness. Lifter LMS, we're glad you're here. Join Jab Jab. All right. Thank you. I had a few questions. Everyone says I got a few questions, so I got to get down this list and see where the questions are regarding Lifter LMS paid plugins, and would appreciate your guidance. Jab Jab, put your questions in, and we will get there. Delphine says, hi, Gary. Bill says, it's in test mode. They all say it's in test mode, Bill. Here's what I do with Stripe. Let's just get to this real quick and see if we can't take this off the table. Stripe has test mode, but they also have a test card. And so what I always recommend people do, Bill, is they use the test card number, which I believe is 4242, 4242, 4242, 4242, 4242, expiration, any date in the future, any 3 numbers for your code. So if you create a fake student account off of some Gmail address or something like that, and then go through the user experience as a student. By the way, this isn't just to test Stripe. This is anytime you set up any kind of membership or learning or interactive website whatsoever. I always recommend that you go in with one of these anonymous or alias email addresses, create a fictitious account. Like mine is Jimmy Curtis. That's my fake name. I'm Jimmy Curtis. And Jimmy Curtis will sign into the website. I'll use a iteration of my Gmail email address using the plus feature, right? So I can make as many alias Gmail emails as I want using that plus feature. And so I'll do that. And then I'll do a sample purchase. And I'll do that typically like not in test mode. I want to make sure that this thing's going to work if someone's going to try and use it. So I'm not sure what problem you're having with Stripe because you just said that you couldn't get a Stripe transaction to go through, but it says I can't test Stripe in test mode. Stripe has test APIs and then they have production APIs. And realistically, we probably shouldn't be using that anymore. That legacy connection to Stripe, you should be using Stripe Connect. And Stripe Connect is you're just going to sign into Stripe in one tab. You're going to have your website open in another tab. You're going to go Stripe, enable Stripe, connect to Stripe. Bob's your uncle. You're connected. Do a test purchase. Did that make sense, Emily? Did I say that in a clear, concise way?
Yeah. I think, it should always work in test mode. And when you're in test mode, you have to use the test cards. You can't like put it in test mode and put in a real card. That's important to know.
You can't put it in test mode. Say that again.
If you use like a real card in test mode, I don't know if it really does anything. I mean, I just use the 4242 when I'm in test mode.
I just use 4242 as well.
Let me look it up. Can you use a real card in Stripe test mode? I mean, that might be something there. No, you cannot use real cards in Stripe test mode. So that might be the issue you're running into if you're like, maybe. I don't know. It's a few issues.
That would be crazy if we fixed that problem that quickly. Wow. Hey, watch a magic trick. All right.
Don't use your credit card. That's the trick.
Let's check out Jab Jab. Jab Jab says, I'm currently using the LifterLMS core plugin, but facing issues with student auto enrollment. I'm considering the $1 trial plan. Among the 3 templates available, which would you recommend? Well, that depends, Jab Jab. If you know how to juggle 3 tennis balls, I would write number 1 on one of the balls, number 2 on the second ball, number 3 on the third ball, and then I would juggle all 3 balls. Now, the first ball that hits the floor, that's the one I'm going to pick. I know that sounded very facetious and silly, but the demo sites are all amazing. So pick one pick one that's most close to your use case. So if it's a school, if it's a business, pick the one that's closest to your use case, and then just knock it out of the park. The features are there. The sites, the demo sites are all based on the Infinity bundle. You have access to all the add-ons through the demo. And what's really cool about the demo sites is, other than the template, other than the layout, basically, you're getting access to all the stuff, and it's pre-populated. So there's sample students, there's sample courses, there's sample payment gateways, there's sample access plans. Everything's in there so that you can see, oh, this is, so if I were to build this thing out, this is what this could look like over time. What I find most negative, if you're going to say, hey, what's a negative about using one of the test sites? The negative is that you are seeing something fully populated and ready to go, and it sometimes gives you a sense of overwhelm, like, oh, I got to build all this crap. You don't. Like, I am constantly on different shows. I do about 5 podcasts a week, and so I'm on all these different shows, and I'll talk about hey, simple is great. Get your minimal viable product done. Just build your course. Like you mentioned, you're currently using LifterLMS Core. Perfect. LifterLMS Core, it's free. So for free, you can build your course, your learning material, build your membership stuff, and get that to go. Now, when you say that you're having problems with the auto enrollment, that leads me to just a couple of questions. Emily, what do you, in all of your years with LifterLMS as an expert, when people say they're having problems with auto enrollment, give me like the top 3 reasons.
Cron. It's really only cron. Like, cron is a background processor for WordPress. WordPress, right, is built on top of PHP code. PHP is a server-side language that only executes when it is requested to execute. So when a user visits your website or a backend page is loaded, PHP is loaded, it executes the tasks it needs to execute. So cron, so like if nobody comes to your website and you need to send out a broadcast or publish a blog post at a certain date, the WP cron is what's managed, is responsible for making sure that things happen on a schedule, even when they're not triggered to happen manually. So that would be, auto enrollment is something that relies on that background cron. If you're on a web host that doesn't, support cron jobs very well, like you might find that the cheaper shared hosting options might struggle with cron, and even more exclusive hosting might be like, you need to outsource your cron, like Kurt has cronjob.org up here. Having some kind of cron setup is the most likely culprit for those auto enrolled issues. It's really only that.
Another thing that I've seen is people will try to sample or build things that they don't have published, and then be surprised when those things don't behave in a published way. Like, for example, I'll have people that'll say, hey, I built this amazing quiz, but when I look at it from the front end of the website, it just shows the lesson and it says mark complete, doesn't say start quiz. Well, then when I go into the back end of the website, they didn't have the quiz published. Like, you have to publish the assets in order for the assets to work. And so, so that's something. I've seen some people say, oh, well, I'm building this in the background and I want to set it up for auto enrollment. Oh, but I didn't really want to publish that yet because it's not finished, or it doesn't have this yet, or I didn't get this amazing introductory video done in time, or whatever the reasoning is. But whatever you're looking at and testing, you want to make sure it's published and that it's going to function that way. I've seen that with like people trying to do a WooCommerce integration with products that are still in draft mode. Like, draft mode's not going to cut it. It's got to be published in order for things to effectively work. A lot of times when I talk to people and it's a development kind of hiccup, like, oh, I didn't want to put that on my production site yet. I wasn't ready. I wanted to test it, but I wasn't ready to put it up on the front end yet. And that comes up a lot. I always encourage people, especially if you have a decent host, just spool up a staging site. Go into staging. No one else sees the staging but you. You can publish whatever you want. You can try different themes, you can try different looks, you can try different things, but you can run tests through staging. And then when everything's the way you want it, boom, activate it in production. Okay, Bill, I usually don't pull up links, but I was feeling like, hey, there's not a ton of questions today, so let's just do this. And so I'm looking at this link that you sent. In fact, it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. Let's just put it up on the screen. Is that what it is? That's what it is. Okay. I got no idea what you're trying to show me. It says use this credit card. Stripe is currently in test mode. You may use card number. Yep. So that's the card number you use with an expiration date in the future and any zip code.
Maybe that there's no option to type the credit card.
Oh.
I don't,
because this is a screenshot of that little box where that information is.
yeah.
Are you missing the space? You cannot test. Okay. Cannot test. How can you not test? There's nowhere to put the number. There's nowhere to put the date. You put the number and the date in and it came back and said, no. I don't understand.
Yeah. It looks like there's no option to test that, or no option to, enter
the card number in, you mean?
Yeah.
Here he says, here we go. There's no option to type the credit card. Okay, so he's getting there. And he says this is the form and you cannot enter the data. So I go to.
Yeah, that's interesting. It looks different on my screen. That's and is this on a demo site or is this on like your live website?
Looks like it's live.
Okay. Yeah, then I think the next thing to do, unless you can sharpshoot it, Kurt, would just to be to go through and like submit a support ticket, or if you want to manually troubleshoot it yourself, try deactivating plugins and seeing if it comes up that way. It could be like some kind of checkout related plugin or something. But that is unusual behavior confirmed.
Yeah, and he's in SkyPilot.
I mean, I'm in SkyPilot. Looks like it's working for me. But yeah, try switching theme. Try switching all the plugins off other than Lifter and your Lifter Stripe. So just those two plugins are active, and see if it happens in like a default state. That's something we'll often do at support when we run into issues like this and we're like, we don't know what's next. We'll ask for a staging website, or if your live website doesn't have users on it yet, we could do it on the live website, but you can deactivate all plugins other than Lifter and Lifter Stripe and see like, is it a plugin conflict, which is likely what it should be, because I've never seen this issue before. Something like that.
Kate's jumped in with some questions. And then Leanne is here too. This is cool. People are showing up. You know, we start this call at the top of the hour. All right, let's go. Let's see what Leanne says. Leanne, welcome to the call. First off, she says she'd like to know how to make enrollment and login more easy and quicker when enrolling our students. Go through a long process that eventually leads to the dashboard. It should lead to the available activities or the lessons. Can this be easier, for example, connected to a Chrome profile? Wow. Okay. Leanna, you want to have students register on your website, right? So I'm assuming they pick a course, they enroll in the course. When they enroll in the course, name, address, phone number, whatever the details are that you have there, right? And then they pay, or if it's free, they enroll. And then what? They go to the dashboard, and you don't want them going to the dashboard. You want them to go to the course. I'm assuming that's. There's single sign-on tools, though, right? You could use some single sign-on tools, or you could assign it. I need to know, like, are you selling the course? Are you giving away the course? Is it an internal training site that's like based on a corporate training mandate? That kind of stuff helps because you can get people enrolled easier, and you only really need an email and a password for an account in WordPress, so you can simplify the enrollment process that way too. Depends on what people are looking for.
Yeah. Looks like the dashboard. Yes, because the dashboard is confusing for new students. Yeah. Good point. There is an option for checkout redirect. I could show that. That's probably what I would recommend if I go over here. And also, for anyone who was on before, this is the wall of lava lamps that Cloudflare has. They point a camera at this and use it for their encryption. So the randomly generated bubbles and colors generate the random numbers for your secure encryption. So
That's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Lava lamps are good at generating random pattern sequences. So if we're going to look at taking your new students to a custom landing page, whether it's a course or a membership, both of them use access plans. And this is how access plans work. We'll scroll down on our course or membership, find our access plan, and then we have a checkout redirect option. We can redirect to a WordPress page, or we could redirect to a custom URL. I would recommend redirecting to a WordPress page. The only time you'd redirect to a custom URL is if you have like 2 websites, you're selling on one and sending people to the second one, something like that. But redirecting to a WordPress page also works. Or if you're doing complicated analytics, you might want to do a redirect to a custom URL if you're on the same website. But if you're not doing like analytics through Google Analytics or something, you don't need that. So we can design a WordPress page if we go to Pages, Add New. And I find it helpful to go through and actually build this example out because it's so fast with all of the patterns we have access to. So if we were to say like call to action, let's put like a big call to action on there, and then maybe that's it. So then we'll say your purchase is good. Congrats, you're in. Start your course now. And then this can act as kind of a landing page, lesson 1. And then what we can do, I didn't give my page a title. I should give it a title. Successful purchase. And so now that I have my successful purchase page, I can link this button to lesson 1 of that course. And then I can go drop this into successful purchase. So when people purchase this access plan, they'll be redirected to the successful purchase page. And then I can kind of curate their experience from there. But yeah, that's
just to kind of not wrap things, but to point things with Bill's question. I just went through one of my demo sites, which is also in SkyPilot, and went through the purchase process, got to where it is, $500, and it does style it correctly and give me the payment options. So obviously you have Stripe enabled, or you wouldn't have gotten this part of the screen up, but there's something preventing the form and this done. I would almost try uninstalling and reinstalling the Stripe integration, just to see if that helps. And then, like Emily said, uninstalling or deactivating plugins one at a time to see what kind of conflict you have would kind of help clean that up. And if you're on a paid version of LifterLMS, I mean, submit a support ticket. You get support. So that'll work too.
Yeah.
Sorry about the confusion on that.
Yeah, that's really weird. I've never seen that happen before.
I've never seen that either. But it looks like everything's showing up on his page except for the field, the form. So unless there was something like, I don't know, you've got a competing form tool on the site that, made the other form not show up or something, but I'm speculating. I don't know what that would be. So Kate, welcome to the call. Kate's a regular. She comes here a bit. So hi, Emily and Kurt and everyone on this call. Kate in Toronto here. 2 questions. Can hop on the call later if there's questions. Well, you can always hop on the call whenever you want there, Kate. You bought the Lifetime Infinity deal this week. And my company has the ultimate package, right? So since the Infinity bundle, allows installation on limited sites. Can I add this to my company site so we can access things like private areas? Yes, you absolutely can, Kate. Can we just talk real though for a moment? I want to talk real for a moment. I've got the Infinity bundle, and I'm on a lifetime Infinity myself, Kate. But here's the thing. You start splashing that around, right? And you start helping people. If it's your company, great. If it's not your company and you splash your stuff around and you help them out, and then life happens and you go somewhere else. If they have a problem downstream, they might not have support through Lifter to answer some question, right? Then they're going to try and backtrack to you, and they're going to be like, well, you put this in our website. Now it's broken. And what are you going to do to fix it? And I hate to sound negative. I'm not a negative person. I'm a very positive person. And I'm positive in the fact that I don't try to open myself up for these situations any longer. So I would just say it's super tempting. Like, I'm a helpful, generous kind of person. I really am. And I've helped a ton of people out. And now that it's been, 5, 6, well, I've been with Lifter for over 10 years now. But on this Infinity Bundle thing, I've helped a ton of people out. And then what happens is you always seem to have some emotional card in the game, even if you're not on payroll anymore, even if you're not collecting consulting fees anymore, even if you're not, getting paid hosting anymore. They've taken the product, they've moved on. But when something happens, they kind of want to drag you back in like you're responsible for it. So I just want to throw that out there as that thing. Now, you do have unlimited websites. You could start your own agency. You could be your own consultant. You can do all kinds of things with the Infinity Bundle. I talk the Infinity Bundle up like nobody's business. I have come up with more ways to misuse the tools in the Infinity Bundle than I think most people walking. Someone says to me, oh, I was thinking about doing this, this, and this in a WordPress website. I go, I got a tool that can do that. And I'll throw the Infinity Bundle in there and leverage a piece of it to do some extraneous task. And it has nothing to do with even hosting courses. But it's because I have access to the tool and I'm so familiar with it. I've become like an expert in the space. I go, oh, I could leverage that for that. And it keeps me from having to buy other chunks of software. But I have gotten a little more guarded about how I help people out and put stuff into their sites, just because it's come back on me a few times. Question 2, I have an enrollment. Question 2, when I add an enroll now button, what should it connect to? Now, this is the look where me and Emily both look confused. Ready? Usually the enrollment button is put in place by the access plan. And so if you have an access plan, boom, Bob's your uncle, it's right there. I just ran into this. I was working on a customer's website. It's their website. I don't host it. I was just doing some consulting work, and they had a bunch of these enrollment buttons all over their website. I'm going to throw this caveat in there too. Emily, you ready? Guess what page builder it was in?
Divi.
Yeah, one guess. You got it. Divi. And so they're in Divi. They got these enrollment buttons all over the place. And they're like, this course is going to the wrong course. And this sales page is going to the wrong. I was like, what is happening here? So they were using some kind of nondescript enrollment button in Divi and then trying to put a link on that. And then what they were doing was they were linking to, I don't know, they were linking to something crazy. What I use is I just use the block or the short code for the LifterLMS pricing table. And then in the short code to that pricing table, I use the ID, right? So the post ID from that course. Hopefully I'm making sense. So there's a post ID for every course. You take the post ID for the course, you put that into the short code for the pricing table, and then that pricing table is going to have all of the enrollment buttons for every imaginable access plan that you've put on that course or that product. And that pricing table can go anywhere in the website. If that's, and I've probably made this more confusing than it needs to be, because I don't know if that's how you're actually using your site. Kate, Let's see. She says here, maybe you have to click buy now for that to come up. Kate, we might need to see you on a screen share in the office hours call, because I'm not sure how you have things set up. But the enrollment button typically comes from the access plan. If you are creating buttons and then trying to figure out what to link the button to, I can understand the confusion. Each access plan also has its own purchase link. And that's where a lot of people get confused too, is they'll try to put like the purchase link little ID number into like the pricing table short code, and that doesn't work. So yeah, if you're creating just put a comment in that says, I'm creating my own enrollment buttons, or I'm using the access plans, or I'm using the pricing tables. Like, let us know what methodology you're using to try to be your call to action to get people to enroll. Did I ask that question correctly? Emily, would you ask something different?
No, yeah, there's multiple ways to do it, right? Like you take the purchase link, put it on any button in WordPress you want. There's the short code for like a purchase button, I think. There's the pricing table that Kate mentioned. There's multiple ways to get people from your sales page to checkout. So yeah, you can kind of mix and match. I find the simplest thing is to just use buttons and a purchase link, but there's many ways to do it.
Yeah. When I get into a customer's website, and this is just me talking because Emily just said it, right? So Emily does it that way. That's great. Sounds awesome. But when I get into a customer's website and they've got custom made buttons all over the place that link to all kinds of weird things, I get a little overwhelmed, just to be honest with you. Because the access plan creates the purchase, that creates the dynamic purchase call to action on your course page for you. So if you're using that standard setup, great. But if you're creating like sales pages and you're trying to direct people from sales pages to course content, or from third-party websites to your training site to a access plan, there's all different ways. And so, yeah, that's when those buttons come into play. Like, I'm going to create a button. But typically in most of my projects, I don't create buttons and link things around, because the access plans create the purchase blocks. I've probably not articulated myself well.
No, that's good. And Kate asks, where's the post ID? I could show you that real quick. It's when you edit your course and you go to the back end like this. You should be able to see it when you click on it. It's going to be in the URL. So mine's 4406. You can see, I can't really zoom in on that.
I can see it. It's there.
Yeah, it's there.
If she's watching on a phone, she's out of luck. She'll have to watch the replay on the big screen.
It's 4406, all post IDs.
Yeah. She's very gracious. Kate, I love having you on the call because you're just kind. You're a kind person. Fair enough, Kurt. Good comments. Membership is probably the issue. I suspect as much. So remember, in these websites, I just saw on our Facebook, somebody had tried to help somebody, but actually said things in a weird way. LifterLMS, we have products. The products are the memberships and or the courses. Someone tried to articulate like the difference between memberships and courses is courses are the products and memberships is how you get people to the products. And I was like, you're just confusing people. Anything that you can sell is a product. So remember that each membership can have up to 6 access plans, and each course can have up to 6 access plans. And then memberships are unique because they give us the ability to almost like create bundles of courses through the auto enrollment feature. And so there's a lot going on there. So when you say that membership is probably the issue, just makes me wonder if you've got like the auto enrollment feature and trying to bundle courses together through the enrollment. It says here that you've used the pricing table. So perfect. Emily showed you where the post ID is at. So that's perfect. And then for those who are like wondering, like, why are they talking about short codes? What the heck is a short code? Go to lifterlms.com. At the top right, there's a search box. Just type in short codes and enter. And you'll see resources pop up that'll give you all of the short codes in LifterLMS. And short codes are how you can take dynamic content from the platform and embed that content anywhere in the website that you want. And so that's perfect. And Kate, hey, I think we got this right here. I can see it. All right, I can see it. I'm Canadian. We're born kind. Oh, hey, my driver's license is from up there. Let's see. This is a corporate training site. There are only 2 memberships, guest and franchisees. I'm trying to get franchisees to opt into courses so I can track who has finished which training. That's my preferred way to go on a site that has a lot of courses, Kate. I think this is what you're talking about. Let's say that I have franchisees in a membership, right? And then I have courses. I have a lot of courses. And those courses, I'm going to say, here's an access plan, right? It's free, but you must be a member of franchisees membership to access the course. And so that way they don't have to like swipe a credit card to join the course. They're a franchisee member, right? But if they're a franchisee member, they opt in, they enroll for the courses that they want to take, and then their dashboard only populates with the courses that they're actually enrolled in. I think that if you have a site with a lot of courses and you auto enroll people into like 40 courses right off the chute, I think that overwhelms students and it can be a bit much. So I actually prefer to do the access plan is free, but available to memberships, and then select the memberships that you want them to be in to access the course. So that's exactly the way that I set those up. And so if you've got that done, that's perfect. Delphine jumps in. Exactly, Kate. Now, one of them is totally one side of the country and one's on the other side of the country. This is going to sound so harsh because I've traveled all over Canada. I gotta say, I found that the people in the West were pretty chill. Like going to Whistler and mountain biking and going to different motorcycle dealerships out near Vancouver Island, like just chill. People were chill. I found people on the East Coast, while still very kind. When I went to the ministry to get my driver's license, I couldn't believe how accommodating they were, which I found very strange being an American in a foreign country. But they processed me right away. Boom, driver's license. But they were much more to business on that side of the country, much more to business. Whereas I found on the west side, out the Vancouver way, they were more chill, absolutely more chill. Leanne says, please clarify what the auto login. Apologies if I didn't get that. I think that's when I said single sign-on earlier. So it's not a LifterLMS thing, Leanna. Single sign-on is the idea that I could use my Google account to sign into my WordPress website. I could use my Facebook credentials to sign into my WordPress website. There's single sign-on features like on corporate websites, right? So maybe I have to sign in. I set up one company to sign in through a Dynamic 365 website, which I guess is Microsoft's product. So the company was using Microsoft. They had a Dynamic 365 database that they were using through HR, and they wanted their LifterLMS website to be logged into by the employees with that Dynamic 365 login, and then it tracked the students' progress and all that stuff. And through the API code, we have a REST API. Through the API connection, was able to upload the students' results to reporting inside HR's site. So that's a fair amount of like, look up the experts in LifterLMS and hire somebody to set that up for you if you're not confident in those kinds of interactions, handshakes, or discussions on the internet. But there are simpler single sign-on tools, not just that example I gave with the company, but single sign-on tools where you could give access to your WordPress website through sign-ins or logins to third-party sites. And they call that single sign-on, or SSO. So you could look up SSO plugins in WordPress and sample a couple that might meet your needs. Well, it doesn't matter. We're all Canucks. Toronto is in the middle, Great Lakes area. Yeah, you say it's in the middle, but how many people really go to Nova Scotia? Besides, you can't go in the woods in Nova Scotia anymore. It used to be a great place to go bicycling. Let's see. Thank you for sharing this. We also have to LifterLMS. Yeah, Leanna's this Lifter lifetime license thing. Okay, we've only got a few minutes left today, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to. This is my personal thoughts, not the thoughts of LifterLMS. Don't hold it against anybody else. But it's great that you guys come to this call. But we have office hours. Like, if you have the LifterLMS lifetime infinity bundle license, you could come to the office hours call. And if you come to the office hours call, you are on a Zoom call, right? You're on Zoom. We're interacting face to face. We get to see you. We get to meet you. We get to verbalize things with you. And you also have the ability to do like screen shares, and we can problem solve like with the hive mentality, right? Now you've got 8 or 10 or 12 people that see your issue and can help you identify things, especially like sometimes we have, authors of third-party plugins come to these calls, and it kind of helps us like with integration questions or use case things like that. And so I think it would be cool if, it's great that you come here, but it would also be cool if you came to the office hours call, because I think the value that you would get if you purchase this platform and get access to that call, the value is heightened. It's up there. It's a good thing. Leanne, I get it. You just bought it. And Kate says, I'd be lonely. Kate, you might not realize this, but I'm the kind of person that could entertain myself for hours. So let's see. Felicia, can this platform help me with nursing CEU's course by providing real-time tracking and notifications, course evaluation, and certification? Okay, Felicia, if you go to LifterLMS and you click on the podcast link in our main menu, you're going to see a couple of podcast episodes that talk specifically about continuing education. We have a ton of people using the website for continuing education. There's some things in here that you're listing that really aren't requirements of continuing education. One of them being this real-time tracking. Real-time tracking, if you're talking about like keystrokes and is the student on camera, and like I've heard all kinds of weird things about like from like a security perspective of making sure like the student's locked in a padded room taking this course or whatever. Lifter doesn't offer that. Like it just doesn't. But do you have the ability to do continuing education with LifterLMS? Abso-freaking-lutely. We've got a ton of people that do it. A lot of people in healthcare. I mean, I can think of about 5 names right off the top of my head. In fact, one of them's Phil. I haven't seen Philip in forever. It's got a Nostra doctor or whatever he's called, or I can't remember. A nozzle doctor, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can think of 4 or 5 right off the top of my head that are in the medical space. 3 of which became clients of mine. And I know that Emily's worked with people individually as well too. So notifications, course evaluations, certification, absolutely all of that. Remember that the Infinity Bundle gives you access to advanced videos. And so if you have to say that this course is 6 hours long, you don't need time tracking in the website. If your course is video based and you have advanced videos and you have 6 hours of video and you say you have to watch the videos to take the test, well, then you can justify that your course is 6 hours long. And so there's lots of ways that the platform conforms to a continuing education structure, even though on paper, like when you're looking at the requirements from your state, from your accrediting body, whatever, you might have question marks about, oh, does this really qualify? In those instances, it doesn't hurt to reach out. You can reach out to us. You can reach out through the Facebook page. You can reach out through help@lifterlms.com to ask a specific question. If you're already an Infinity Bundle member, jump onto the office hours call, bring it up. There are people that come to that office hours call that do continuing education. One of them you'll see in a recent podcast listed on our website. So Leanna says she has to run. You have a call now. Thank you so much. Lovely afternoon. Wow, she must be from Canada too. That's very polite. Leanna, have an awesome, awesome day. Jab, can you please suggest what's included in the $1 trial plan and how I can integrate other payment gateways via the WooCommerce plugin? Okay, Jab, you're confusing me a little bit. The dollar trial is the Infinity bundle in a hosted example of the website that's pre-populated. So all of our add-ons are available through that trial. So when you say what's included, everything's included. Everything's included. And there's a couple of other things. Like for instance, we integrate with Buddy Press and BB Press. And so those integrations are in that site. We use a tool called Embed Any Document. And that's so that you could display a PowerPoint in a lesson or something like that. And I believe that comes in that as well, right? So there's a couple of third-party, like open source plugins that are included in that setup. But when you get the dollar demo site, you're seeing a realistic example of a well-built LifterLMS website with the Infinity bundle that leverages social learning, cohorts, like all of that's in there. It's all there so that you can play with it. What's really cool about it is you can go into plugins and you can deactivate some of those add-ons. So let's say you're like, oh, I just really wanted to do the universe bundle. Great, go in, turn off social learning, turn off cohorts, turn off groups, and see what's left and go, okay, well, now this is a better representation of what I think I could build with what I'm looking to do. If you want to integrate other payment gateways with the WooCommerce plugin, if you have experience with WooCommerce, fantastic, right? Because in that way, you're going to be able to just say, okay, I create a product and I connect it to the access plan and lifter. I create a product and I connect it to the access plan and lifter. As far as other payment systems with WooCommerce, it's the same as any other WooCommerce website. So if you're familiar with WooCommerce, it connects literally to hundreds of different payment options. Figure out what it is that you want to do. You can do that through the demo site. I just don't know that I would do that through the demo site. I think I would see how it works or how it's put together, or, put myself at ease knowing that it's a simple connection through the WooCommerce settings. But I don't know that I would literally hook up my ABC card payment gateway to my demo site. Felicia says, thanks. Leanna says, thanks. Jab. Stripe and PayPal aren't available in Nepal, so I want to integrate locally available payment gateway via WooCommerce. All right, yeah. The best thing to do is go to WooCommerce, and do a search for the payment gateway source that you want to use, and they'll either say they're compatible or they're going to say you need some other third-party add-on from their extension store, or an extension if they call it that, to take that payment gateway. But WooCommerce is incredibly flexible at taking things from all over the world. I choose AMA or office hours based on the rest of my day. Okay, Kate, I'm going to give you some slack. Have a wonderful day. Delphine, great to see you. This puts us at the top of the hour. I'm going to do a quick review here. There's someone trying to spam us and tell us to go to some other video hosting thing. We're not going to put that up. I'm not going to be lonely. I would be lonely. Thank you, Leanne. Folks, this is nice to see so many comments in here. I really want to thank everybody for coming. Kate says, thanks, everyone. Don't forget that if you are interested in anything that we've talked about or want to sample something, you can go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift, lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. And that will give you a 55% off coupon. We've been talking a lot about the trial sites, right? The demo sites. So go to lifterlms.com/try, lifterlms.com/try. And lastly, if you are like, this all sounds cool, but I don't want to do this, I just want to hire someone to help me, just go to lifterlms.com, lifterlms.com/experts, and we will be there to help you. Like I said, I'm under Mañana No Mas. Emily's under WP Course Guide. If people want to reach you, Emily, it's wpcourseguide.com.
Yeah, or just Google Magic Emily Middleton and you'll find it. Yep.
And then I'm Kurt Von Onen, the only Kurt Von Onen on LinkedIn. And Mañana No Mas is how people can reach me. Okay, I think we are good, folks. Everybody have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful week. We will see you next Thursday.